Greetings, Chosen Ones. This is a Chosen One message. The title of this Chosen One message is The Judas Wolf. The Judas Wolf. So I posted about this earlier. It's actually a pretty heartbreaking government thing that they do, but it really does tie into the story of Judas, so I'm going to get into it. So the Judas Wolf is a government program that is funded, that is known as CBK. B as in boy, C as in Charlie, K as in Kellogg's. So the Judas Wolf, tonight's message. Also, Jesus didn't out Judas, Judas outed himself. So the Judas Wolf program that the government does is capture, betray, kill. So essentially in the Judas Wolf program, what the government does is they capture a pup or a wolf that will always run back to the pack. They mark this wolf and then they send it back to the pack so that it exposes where the pack hides, because these wolves are really smart and they know how to kind of stay away from people and stay away from the groups. So the pup is always going to go back to its family and it's going to betray the whole clan by revealing to the government where the clan is, and then they come in through helicopters and they actually take the wolves' lives. So this ties into the Judas Wolf, or the Judas Wolf ties into the story of Judas in the Bible, because Judas didn't actually intentionally, consciously betray Jesus from the beginning. In fact, Judas actually really believed in Jesus. He really admired Jesus. He saw like all the miracles that Jesus was bestowing upon people, and he was quite impressed. He thought, wow, this Jesus guy is going to be a really good investment for me. He's going to help me gain accolades. He's going to help me gain power. He's going to help me gain position. He's going to help me gain authority. So Judas actually really liked Jesus from the beginning, and he invested in Jesus initially because he thought that it would be a good selfish ambition for himself. So tonight's message, Chosen Ones, is, the people that are betraying you, the Judases in your life, don't start out from the beginning as malicious intent. In fact, a lot of them, and the majority of them, are actually people who really believe in you. They see your power. They see your influence. They see also what they can achieve from that, or what they feel that they can achieve from that. And so there is, the two sides of the coin. Now, here's the thing, Chosen Ones, this is why it's so important that we maintain our authority and our autonomy, our self-authority, our own autonomy. This is why it's so important that we gain our consciousness back, and why we wake up, why we decalcify our pineal gland, and why we spend time dedicated in prayer. And this is also why it's important that we do not make decisions from our own human flesh desires, but from a connection to God and from a dedicated practice to the works of that. Because Judas didn't, it was a slippery slope. It's like water is always going to find a way through the cracks, and Satan has a way of working in the same way, because as time passed and as Judas was seeing all that Jesus was doing amongst the lands, all the miracles that he was having, and he was watching Jesus, dodge the people that were always trying to crucify him. He was watching Jesus dodge all these bullets, so to speak, and he was watching him continue to perform miracles. Judas realized, okay, maybe if I'm not going to gain the authority and the position, if Jesus isn't allowing me to rise up the ladder fast enough, then this is when Satan kind of plants in his head the seed. So it's an unconscious act, and this is kind of how it breeds, because whenever we are unconscious, when we allow ourselves to just kind of go with the flow, and when we allow ourselves to operate from the human condition, which the human condition is, it's fleshly, it's carnal, so there always is going to be power struggle, there always is going to be conflict, there always is going to be that level of competition. And, in godliness, there is no room for competition. Everyone can thrive, everyone can achieve, everyone can get to that level, but it requires a state of selflessness. It requires a state of not being in competition with your brother or your sister. And Satan, it has the way of coming in and breeding the seed of competition amongst others, jealousy, envy, greed. And, this is how Judas became a betrayer, a traitor of Jesus, and it wasn't conscious from the beginning. As I said, Judas believed in Jesus. It was once he became impatient and jealous, and Satan was planting all these seeds, that Judas then betrayed him. However, it's spoken different in different stories, and so, Chosen Ones, what I'm saying is, during this season, you are going to see the Judases in your life be outed, but you're also going to see them be outed by their downfalls, and their downfalls will be pitting against them. Judas, after he was known for stealing from the common purse, and yes, he, took 30 silver coins to to betray Jesus in this way. But he immediately regretted his decision. He returned the silver and he hung himself, or that was the story in Matthew. And then in the story of Acts, he actually ran into a field and he burst with his guts gushing out into spontaneous combustion. So there is a note here, chosen ones, that spontaneous combustion could be happening amongst people. Now this could be like literal, this could be vehicles, this could be, obviously, we see eruptions. There was another train derailment today out in Greece. So there will be an influx of spontaneous combustions that are occurring amongst the lands. So just be extra cautious with your machinery, operating anything that could fire, anything like this, but also spontaneous combustions in mental spaces. So be very mindful about your words, be very mindful about your emotions, because again, just like Satan planted the seed in Judas over time, because Judas became impatient, so again, this is him kind of stepping outside, this is Judas stepping outside of his godliness, stepping outside of his commitment to the word, and succumb to the human fleshly desires of, it's not fast enough, so I'm impatient, and then, spontaneous combustion. It's, okay, I'm greedy, I'm unhappy that I'm not rising to the top. It's all human desires that were his downfall, and these are all pitted by Satan. So at this time, chosen ones, everyone is being heavily tested in these moments, in these, I want to say final days, but I also don't want to say final days. It's final days before the resurrection. And that's the beautiful part of it, because even though Judas betrayed Jesus, it led to Jesus' resurrection, which led to the word being spread and led to so many more blessings in the end. So there's an energy here, chosen ones, of resurrection after the crucifixion. So I do just want to say, chosen ones, if you feel like you've been crucified, if you feel like you've been a space of crucifixion, then get ready, because the resurrection is coming. And again, be extra mindful of spontaneous combustions, be extra mindful and compassionate to understand, just as Jesus was compassionate with Judas, understanding that it's oftentimes the people who do admire the chosen ones the most. It's the people who do believe in them the most who then set out to betray them. And it's only because they become, or they stay unconscious, and they do not rise above their fleshly desires. So chosen ones, that's why it's so important that we step out of our ego. Yes, it's important to acknowledge the ego. Yes, it's important to understand that it's there. I'm not saying to completely kill the ego, because that's not something that's even possible or really healthy to do, especially maintaining an autonomy. But this is why we must always be a part of something bigger than us, and yes, better because of us, because God's work can't happen without us. He needs us as the tools, so we are the tools. So being a part of something bigger than humanity, which would be God, which would be Christ, but better because of humanity. And it's whenever we are able to selflessly hand our lives over to a cause like this that we are better able to not be as succumb to the fleshly human desires like Judas was in his desire for greed, his desire for power, his desire for higher position, which led to his impatience, which led to him selling Jesus out, but also immediately regretting this. So chosen ones, just know that all things come full circle, and everything in due timing. And if you feel like you've been crucified, there is a resurrection here. And again, remember, capture, betray, kill. So just be extra mindful of the groups, or if you're being herded into a situation, if people are trying to get you to sign on the dotted line, be extra cautious during this time. And I love you guys.